Hi, my name is Paul Grogan and welcome to episode 47 of the Gaming Rules podcast. This is a very special episode. I'm joined by my good friend Tom.
Hello.
And Efka.
I came to make everything worse.
Yes, and we are here at Runemeet, Summer Runemeet 2017, which is a private gaming event held at my house, which happens twice a year. This is the one in the summer, and the sun has come out. And we've all been enjoying the sun.
There's a lot of men in this house, and there's a lot of sun. That's all I'm going to say.
There is only one woman in this house this weekend.
Yes.
Yes.
That's terrifying for me.
Yes, Runemeets, there are normally a few women here, but there's only one. She's not playing games. So anyway, this podcast is basically a quick recap of where I've been for the last month, because I've produced zero media content for the last month, which means I've been sitting around eating ice cream, not doing any work whatsoever.
It's not what you're known for, Paul.
No, I haven't done that whatsoever. So the first thing was, about a month ago, I left for UK Games Expo. That's the last thing I remember. Now, we were all at Expo.
Yes.
Your first one?
Yeah, well, first one as a media person,
right,
in air quotes.
But you were there last year?
Yes.
So UK Games Expo was at the start of June. I think it was like the 1st to the 3rd or 1st to the 4th or something like that. I was there the day before for a retailer event. UK Games Expo grew again, not by the 82% it grew last year, but it did grow by 30-something%.
Pretty good.
It's still very, very good.
It felt very crowded. I have to say, more
especially
crowded than any other year.
It didn't for me.
Especially
you did not?
No, because I was on the booth the whole time.
Oh, okay.
So I never saw or felt any of the busyness or the crowds. I didn't feel or see any of that. Other people said it felt crowded.
I think this year especially, for me, it felt quite disparaging that they were closing off gaming rooms during the day, and they opened like one little room and that was it, and so far at the back that people wouldn't be able even to find out about it. Yeah, this is a Hilton thing, and there's ongoing discussions with them about opening up the rooms. And they're growing again next year. Next year they've got Hall 2 at the NEC, which had a dinosaur exhibition in this year or something. I was excited about the dinosaur.
Yeah, but it wasn't open, they were just setting it up, which is a real shame.
We were banging on the doors for ages.
So yeah, UK Games Expo happens once every year at the start of June. It's growing again next year, and it's big and it's fantastic and it's great. And I was working for CG there, which was pretty much working. Well, it's not all the time. Sometimes when I go to these events, it's like 14-hour days. At Expo, I worked at the booth from 9 in the morning till we closed. And then I had the evenings free to do my own stuff. Now I did go to I took part in the Pandemic Live event with John Robertson from the Dark Room and Z Garcia, because Colin Baker, who did the Live Pandemic last year, was busy, so they asked me instead. That was an experience. Yeah. Have you ever done it?
No, I've not.
I've not done it. Right, stuff happens that I'm not allowed to tell you.
Okay.
It surprised me. And the reason I can't tell you is so that when you go along, you will have that same surprise. Right. And I was with Z Garcia. And when the things happened, he was like, what the hell's going on? And I was like, welcome to England.
Okay, fair enough.
This is how it is. It was a very British thing.
He seemed very positive. Not very positive. He wasn't grumbling, you know. He wasn't being his usual Z Garcia self. So, you know, that's a good thing.
Yeah, so it's good. So that was UK Games Expo. I mean, I worked there. I did the Gaming Rules meetup on the Saturday night, which ended up being... I spoke to Dave Mortimer, who's actually downstairs at the moment playing games, and he said, oh, I'll give you a copy of the Cousins War and you can, you know, and I thought, oh yeah, maybe everybody who turns up, I'll give them a raffle ticket and one of them can win a copy of the Cousins War. That's how it all started. That was like 4 days before Expo. And then I thought, well, hang on a minute, I'm running this in the bar at the IB Styles. I don't want random people who I don't know, who haven't turned up for the meetup, getting a raffle ticket and having a chance to win, you know, one of the absolute top quality games that's out at the moment. So I thought, well, maybe I should charge for it. Now, I can't start charging for a charity raffle without approval from Richard Denning and Tony, the organisers. So I asked them on the Friday. I bumped into Richard and I said, look, are you okay if I sell tickets to a charity raffle where I'll give away a couple of games and I'll give the money to you and it'll go to the UK Games Expo charities? And he said, yeah, absolutely. So at which point I spent a few hours on the Saturday going round. And that's when I picked up, and I ended up with, 30 games or something crazy? And we raised 365 quid. It was fantastic. Nice. It went far better than I ever expected. Tony Boydell came to me afterwards and said, so this is going to be an every year thing? Yeah. And I was like, well, why the hell not? Because I did that in like a day's notice. So I'm speaking to Richard at Essen, and my plan is to actually book it maybe in one of the rooms of the Hilton next year as a Gaming Rules charity raffle thing, where we just do that. But actually, I spend a bit of time in advance asking all of the publishers to donate.
Absolutely. And actually, just as a point that I would like to make to people who are listening, if you play at a local club, one of the things I've done is I've organized a charity auction. So people bring in games that they don't want, that they were maybe going to sell or something like that. And then we just auction all of them off. And we had only 22 people turn up to the one I organised, the first one. We're going to do another one this year. But we made £320 because there were good games, like there was Mombasa going. And, you know, nice games that people have donated. And also, you know, just Battle of the Sexes or something crass or like that. But people, you know, would at least pitch in £2 for that. You know, it was just a nice kind of feeling event and you made some money for charity.
An auction, but a friend of mine, the auctioneer, he does a charity auction which is sanctioned by UK Games Expo people. So I thought, well, I don't want to do another auction.
Yes, of course.
So I thought charity raffle, and actually that's a bit easier to organise. So that went quite well.
But this is something people can do at their local clubs to raise money for charity. And that's really what I want to stress.
Yeah. Now, you've done a video, Efka, about your experiences at UK Games Expo.
It's all a bit of a blur.
Yeah, so you've done one. Have you done a video after Expo?
At great length.
Right, so I'll put links in the show notes of this. Both of them have done stuff that they did at Expo, so I'm not going to cover that here.
Mine was mostly eating sausage, though. So.
It was, yes. I did, and Elaine eating sausage.
Yeah,
yes.
To be fair.
That camera that was on her eating sausage was on a little bit too long.
Was it?
Yeah.
No.
It was funny, and then it was funny, and she still sat there eating sausage, and then it carried on, and she's still eating the sausage. Anyway, if you want to see Elaine eating sausage, go and watch Efka's UK Games Expo video. So I got back from Expo, and had one day at home, and then I flew off to Germany. I'd been invited by the sales director at Ravensburger to give a talk about rulebooks and transitioning rulebooks to videos.
That's not a company that makes burgers from crows. That's something else.
No, they make jigsaws.
Right. Okay.
It's funny because, you know, Vicky does jigsaws, and she's got a load of jigsaws in the house, and they've got Ravensburger on the side. And her family all do jigsaws, and they've got Ravensburger on the side. And here's me going off, been invited by the sales manager from Ravensburger, and it's like, yeah, in Germany they're known for making lots of board games, and they do a few here as well, but here and in America they're known for making lots and lots of jigsaws and things like that. So I got invited to that. 2 reasons: give a talk on, as I say, transitioning rulebooks into video form and how that process works, and they were interested in it. Every year they get a guest speaker in or two to talk about something, and they got me in to talk about that. But I also ran a couple of workshops about the process that I use for demoing games at conventions, because I have a particular style of demoing at conventions, which is not what I use when I teach people, but it's what I use at conventions to get people starting playing as soon as possible. And that actually ended up being far better, I think, and more useful for people than the rulebook talk, because that was like, oh, Paul's talked about this, that's interesting, but we don't make videos ourselves.
Yeah.
But if we do, we'll give Paul a shout and he can help us. But the seminars that I ran, a lot of them were like, oh,
yeah, they can apply
this is really interesting, and they were going away, and then in the evening, which was supposed to be sort of my downtime where I got to play some games with them, they were like, can we go through that again? And in fact, I'll give you a game, and can we just go through the process now, and can we sit down and work out what we do? And that was good for me, because all of the games which I demo, I've practiced. I've spent 3 years practicing this, so I'm used to it. But what they did is we got Stone Age, and we sat down, and I sat down with the guy who runs Hall Games, and we sat there and went, right, how would we demo to people? And we both went through it together. So I came away from that, I wasn't expecting to get much out of it personally. I certainly didn't go there looking for more work, that's not the reason I went there. But I came away from it feeling very satisfied, because I felt that I'd given something to people that they weren't aware of or hadn't considered. And that was really, I mean, for me personally, professionally, that's the biggest thing that's ever happened to me in this career that I'm in.
No, that's really cool.
I do the videos and everything else, and I get people giving me work to do videos, that's fine. But being invited to go to Germany to do a talk in front of people from Cosmos, all of the German big companies, and I got there, and for anybody who follows me on social media, you'll know about the slightly disastrous journey that I had.
Yes.
So the flights, the saga.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, other people have had far worse journeys. Right?
Fair enough.
So I'm not going to say this was the worst journey ever.
Yeah.
I got stranded in Amsterdam. Then they lost my luggage. I arrived at this place in Germany, in Göttingen, after having about 3 hours sleep the night before and about 4 hours the night before that. wearing the same clothes that I've been wearing for 36 hours, without any of my luggage. I got to the hotel, I checked into the room, I showered, I went downstairs, they'd just finished one talk, I said, when do you want me to start? They said, now. I went, yeah, go on then. Bang, went into it. It went okay. I was struggling to stay awake, but yeah, so it wasn't really, I wasn't in the best.
No, of course.
But I just went, right, let's do this.
But you had a really like positive impact, right?
Yeah.
So maybe next year when you go, can you teach German publishers about aesthetics and good artwork?
Possibly. No, it was interesting because there was a good mix.
Not that there's a stereotype or anything.
No. There was a good mix of companies there. And what's really, really interesting is I didn't realise this until I got there. So this is a bit of a plug for them, even though they don't need a plug. But 10 years ago, they started this. And what they do is every year they get together for 3 or 4 days and they talk together as this group of about 40 people from all these different companies about how they can make rulebooks better together as a group. And then after this, they all go away and they work on their own for a year. So they don't help each other with each other's rulebooks, but they have this seminar once a year. And the whole point of this, and it's a big cost to them, is how are we as a group of companies going to make rulebooks better overall for everybody?
Yeah.
And I just think that's a really, really good thing that they're doing.
It is,
So,
and especially since the hobby is evolving so fast and diverging, and you have on the one side as well, you have Fantasy Flight with its 2 rulebook method that when it started, I wouldn't say it was very great.
It was awful.
But now it's a lot better because they're you know, what's the right word?
It's better.
In something, I am not language today.
It's good. It's better than it was.
Yeah, it's better than it was.
Yeah, the tools method has had a lot of
iterative. There we go. That's the word. Okay. They're iterating, right? And then you have things like Awakened Realms, who I've talked to after I've published my review of this war of mine, where I did not like the rulebook. The rulebooks, but I liked its intent, at least what the ambition was, that you don't have to learn before you play, you can learn as you play. And my honest opinion is that sometimes if you are a publisher who have the first rulebook, you should probably, you know, learn the standard path before you start iterating. But I can definitely appreciate the attempt. Yeah.
So that was good. And then I got back from that, and that was a frazzling trip. By that point, I mean, there was one point where I was in Frankfurt airport. I wasn't supposed to be even going to Frankfurt. I was supposed to be flying from Amsterdam to Hanover train to Göttingen, and I ended up in Frankfurt. And there was one point where they'd lost my luggage and everything else that I was almost in tears, and I just went, I want to go home. And this poor woman on the other side of the thing, she went, are you all right? She could obviously see that I was, and I went, I'm just going to write to the guy and say, look, sorry, it's all gone wrong, I can't. Anyway, I didn't come home, I did it. But I got home from that on the Saturday evening, spent Sunday packing, and Monday morning at 5 o'clock left for Origins. So yeah, I've been basically out of the country for 3 weeks. Origins,
you had a crazy time.
Yeah, Origins was like 8 days away, and Origins is like, I mean, I've talked about my experiences at Gen Con and places like that before. It's 8 days away. It's extremely long days because I'm responsible for the room. So it's like 8 o'clock in the morning till 11 at night, and it's just frazzling. And it was 5.5 days solid. I'm
very jealous that you got to go to Origins because Lisboa was launching there.
Lisboa, and I got offered to take my copy with me, and I went, well, do I not?
Oh,
and I'm glad I didn't.
Vital, if you're listening, where is my copy? That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. And then I got back from there and it was straight back into work. But I'm here now. So this is one reason why I've not produced any content. I took all of my recording equipment with me to Germany. And I thought, oh, this will be great. I'll do a bit from when I'm in Amsterdam, and I'll do a bit from the hotel, because this is going to be a nice... I wasn't getting paid.
Yeah.
So this was 3 days off work that I'd taken because I thought it was important for me professionally.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm going to give a talk, and then they're all going to be speaking German. So I'll go for a swim in the pool, it'll be nice and relaxing. This will be a nice few days away before I go to Origins. No, completely the opposite of that. It was absolutely hectic. And so I didn't get a chance, I didn't feel that I was in the right frame of mind to start doing podcast recordings or anything like that. And then I took it with me to Origins, and that was a waste of time. So yeah, so I've not produced anything. So this is why this podcast is a bit of a recap. Anyway, Runemeet. We're all here. It's currently, what time is it? Sunday?
It is an abstract amount of time since I've been here.
Well, you got here...
Friday morning?
Friday afternoon.
Friday afternoon.
Friday afternoon. So it starts at Friday noon.
Yeah.
And it finishes Monday noon.
Yes.
Now, a lot of people head back on the Sunday. Tom, you're going back later today.
Yeah.
Because they've got work the next day. other people have taken an extra day off work, and the reason I extend it to the Monday is for those people who have a fair amount of distance to drive and just want to stay a little bit later on the Sunday. I say, look, stay a little bit later, get the full day, and then stay over.
Well, it's the come down after the
you can head off in the
excitement.
morning.
Yes. I find Sunday evenings to be the best evenings of conventions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you just get to chill after everything.
Yeah, so tonight there will probably still be about 12 people here. And then tomorrow there's still going to be 8 people here in the morning.
And we're going to play Captain Sonar, aren't we?
And we are going to play Captain Sonar.
Good, okay.
So, yeah, we've played a lot of games. There is a geek list of all of the games that have been played at Runemeet, which I will link to in the show notes so that you can have a look through. Highlights. Tom, you've not played many games. I've seen you sitting outside in the sun. So
yes. Well, today there's been a lot of sitting.
There's a lot of sitting. So yeah, the sun has come out. So what have you played that's been good this weekend?
We played Mask of
Moai, yes.
Which Efka brought in.
Yes.
We actually recorded Mask of Moai on our podcast Last Place as well, but that hasn't been published yet, so I don't want to spoil too much about Mask of Moai. But I would say that it's a very interesting game that uses VR goggles and plasticine.
Yes.
and it actually requires you to mold things that you see in VR, and you describe it, Tom.
That's what I was most excited about when you described it.
It's
Mask of Anubis, which is a game you might have heard of, where there was kind of a Egyptian helmet that you put on with a phone in it, and you're trying to describe what's inside a temple.
Yes.
And this is a new version of that.
So one player wears this thing.
Yeah, but
this role is rotating.
Yeah.
During one game.
Yeah, in one round.
Right.
In one round, one person will wear this helmet, and they'll see this kind of they'll be standing on some water, and you can see different colours on the walls around you. You can look around, and you can maybe see into a room in front of you, and you can jump up and see what's on the second level.
You actually have to jump. Yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah, you physically have to jump to change the levels, and you've got a minute maybe a bit less than that to describe all of this. Oh yeah, we set the time. You can have infinite if you're really nervous about it, but and you can have 20 seconds at the minimum. But you're describing all this stuff, and then everybody else is scrambling, trying to arrange it onto the table as quickly as they can, because as soon as the time's run out, you have to stop. And
you end up with disparate bits of map, basically, and when the game ends, you have to combine it all together into one cohesive map. If you did it right, you win the game.
So you're making a map, and if you get the map right, so you reveal an answer at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and if you build the map right, you win.
And a very kind of interesting lead up to it as well.
Yeah.
Move these things around. Did these end up in the right place?
Yeah, so the plasticine things that you mold, you have to move them around, and if they end up on the same space, you got the map correct.
Okay.
Yeah. It does then show you the map afterwards. We were a bit worried about that.
And does the game come with a load of pre-generated maps?
I think it's
randomly generated.
I think it's random. The previous one had a lot of maps. I think this one might be random, but I'm not sure. It's actually so this is a game that was published in Japan and just kind of ported over, and the company that published it there did the porting themselves, and it's not perfect at communicating everything it needs to communicate in English.
Right. No.
So is the app. The app is the same way. But I will say that if you have somehow magically played Mask of Anubis, because there's like 200 copies in Europe and America of Mask of Anubis, so it's not likely that you have played it. But if you have, it's a more iterated game.
Right.
And whilst it still feels a little bit like it was just kind of, some things are off, but I still enjoyed the experience, and I thought it was pretty good. Yeah.
Okay.
It feels like there's something for the person describing to do afterwards as well, when they have to model the plasticine thing as quickly as possible.
Right.
And you have to remember how it looks like, and and it's really hard because you also at the same time have to relay the information in terms of what the other players have built and say, this is correct, this is wrong.
Right.
You know, and you need to retain that information, but at the same time, somehow in your head, retain that visual image of this strange yellow creature that you saw, right? And then mold it? Oh,
in the last,
it's something else.
5 years ago, we had Euro games and we had Ameritrash games.
Yeah.
Now we've got this, we've got time stories. The technology's moved on.
Yeah.
We've got World of Yoho, things like that, which wouldn't have been possible.
I just think
5 years ago.
People are
games
more
are
innovative.
evolving. Yeah. There's a lot of innovation. So I've been playing a lot of medium to heavy games, as you'd probably expect this weekend. A few people wanted to learn how to play Madeira, which I always love, so I taught Madeira to 3 new people. We've just finished a game of Anachrony. We played 3 Kingdoms Redux last night.
Yes, we did.
So I've played quite a few meaty games. We played Roads and Boats on Friday night. So I'm happy with my meat content that I've had this weekend, because there's more of an opportunity at this than a normal games evening where people are looking at the time and think, oh, if it drags to 4 hours, we don't, you know, we're going to be rushing kind of thing. So certainly Roads and Boats could have dragged on, didn't. Three Kingdoms Redux could have gone longer, but didn't, because you were especially aggressive with your border things.
I came last, but the points
were so
small.
close.
Yeah.
We did a slight miscount because Efka had won, and I thought, well, that doesn't feel right.
Can I just say that the first time you counted as well?
I counted as well,
and you announced me as the winner.
Yeah, and I felt that didn't feel right because I felt that I'd done better.
Yeah.
So I thought, let's just go back and have a look at the scores again, and I'd put a 3 in Efka's column instead of my column. That's, I think, the third game that we've had to have a recount this weekend. This weekend has all been about, let's add up the scores, and not in games I've been playing, but other games as well. Oh, let's have a recount. Oh, it's actually different. So, yeah, recounts are different. But yeah, it was like 45, 42, 41 or something.
It was an interesting game.
Your first time?
My first time. I don't want to say too much about it because I don't feel like I have a good grasp on it. It's an area control worker placement game with 3 asymmetrical factions, and it's free player only. And it kind of looks like a war game, but it isn't at all. Although, even having said that, the area control element sometimes makes it feel quite aggressive towards other players, but it's justified aggression.
It's bidding. I bid 7, you bid 6, so I win that fight.
Yeah,
it's not the conflict is the theme.
Yeah,
but I would, you know, the conflict is in the bidding, and that's it. But there were 2 opportunities in that game where you and the other Paul ended up costing yourselves both 1 action each because you were outbidding each other, and it was possibly that might have been just enough.
I did many other things that could have been just enough to push my strategy over and actually get those last few points. I was largely ignoring a big portion of the game. I was just being very aggressive because I decided, look, this is a big game. I'm going to pick a narrow strategy and push it as far as I can. I know I'm probably not going to win, but at least I'm going to learn the game that way. And it kind of worked, actually, because it was pretty close. And I can see by having done a few different things a different way, because this is a game where you can lose actions, and you will often lose actions. And had you just done something a little bit different, you would have had an extra action, or probably extra 5 actions, you know? So, yeah, I could have definitely won that game.
Yeah.
If had I known. But, so I don't really want to... I enjoyed myself. I think the only takeaway that I had right now is that, I need to play more of it to fully appreciate it.
Would you play it again?
Well, I don't know,
because it needs 3 people.
That doesn't bother me.
Okay.
What bothers me, I think, is that it does a lot of things that other games do.
Yeah.
But does it, like, if I wanted to play a worker placement bidding game, wouldn't I play Keyflower instead? Right. And the other thing is that I know Capstone Games have just had a reprint of this, but they didn't change it graphically at all, which I thought was immediately a problem, because there were so many things about it graphically, not necessarily its aesthetics, but more how it delivers information to players, and, you know, how accessible it makes the game feel. And it doesn't make the game feel accessible
There's one
at all.
particular token, there's trained armies and untrained armies, and it's the same counter, and you flip it over, which is fine, but the 2 sides look almost identical. So it's really difficult to actually tell, you know, at a glance. And when you've got that as an icon on a card, it could have done with just a little bit of, this looks a little bit too similar, and the colours are even similar. So a couple of little things like that. But yeah, great game. I do like the game. It's not what I thought it was when I got told about it. I got told it was really good. It's worker placement, it's bidding, it's a point salad. I had no idea it was going to be that. I have no problem with any of those things, and I do enjoy playing the game, and I've played it 5 times now, and I would almost never say no to a game of it. So that's how highly I rate the game. But it isn't the conflicty game that I was expecting, and I certainly wasn't expecting a point salad. When you get to the end of the game and you go through all of the scoring, and there's like 9 different categories, and you can get points for that, for this, the bits here, bits there, bits that and the other, and it all adds up.
What I did really like about it is not so much the asymmetry necessarily, but the powers that each player can get at the start of the game. It felt very overwhelming at the start of the game. I was like, I have no idea whether this is any good or not.
It's even more overwhelming at the end.
Yeah,
you're tired and
I chanced myself into something that was cohesive and actually put me on this narrow path. And I really liked that because it gave me a direction in the end, but also because, like many games that give you these sort of rule-breaking abilities like Voyages of Marco Polo, it makes you feel like you can do something that's really cool, right? And the artwork on the cards is exceptional, actually. And that adds to that feeling that you're doing something unique.
The feeling
and
of
cool.
the things there. I mean, the game itself, rules-wise, is probably medium weight. You've got the 12 areas, it's worker placement, you're bidding for stuff, and then you get to do the actions in each of the areas. And the actions are really, really easy. But the complexity in the game comes with the fact that you have all of these leaders, and each leader has an ability. So by the end of the game, it's like, right, if I do that action there, I'll get a gold before I do that action. And if I recruit 2 vessels, then I'll get an untrained army. And then I can go here and your brain starts exploding at the end of the game. Once you've got 6 leaders in front of you, and you've built all of these enhancements, and some of them have got, when you do this action, get a bonus. If you want to play it a lot with people who you really know, you'll be like, right, I know what all of Efka's cards are, and I know what he's going to be doing, and I'm going to take that into account. I don't do that at all.
Around that.
That's another level of play that, thankfully, most people I play with don't do that, which means I'm not going to be penalised for not doing it myself. I have enough trouble concentrating on my own stuff that's going on, let alone looking at everybody else's. But that was a good game. So what else have we played?
What else new did we play? What did we play this morning?
We played Magic Maze this morning.
Magic Maze,
yeah.
Now you've done a video for that?
I have done a video for that, and it didn't really work for us because my girlfriend really didn't like it. I will say if you may be frustrated by being quiet in a game where the whole point is being quiet, it might really, really annoy you.
Well, that's what engages me, because I'm generally a very talkative and loud person, and just makes me shut up. And that level of frustration, I find enjoyable. I find that appealing.
It's whether all of that being bottled up is going to make you laugh and kind of drive the game forward, or is it just going to frustrate you and leave you helpless?
If you haven't heard of Magic Maze, it's a cooperative game where you play as adventurers, but you don't talk. Yeah, but you can't talk. It's a real-time game where you have to move pawns, but you don't move your own pawn. You move all the pawns, but you can only... every player is restricted to certain actions you can do. So one player can only move things left, and for example, through an escalator. Or another player can only move things right and teleport, and so on and on. Yes, you can't talk, so the frustration comes from that. But I think the genius of it is that it makes you feel like you are with a group of people that you can't communicate with at the start of the game, but towards the end of the game, you're working like a well-oiled machine, and it could be perfect strangers that you're playing this game with. But there's something about not being able to talk that eventually, if everyone's on the same page, just unites everyone and makes you into this like mean powerhouse of moving pawns.
There's a great big marker that's the do something marker that you slam down, this great big wooden thing, and at the start of the game, it's so confusing when someone's slamming that in front of you, because you don't understand what they want. But hopefully by the end, as soon as they've picked it up and are looking at you, you already know, I need to be doing something. It's me that's not reacting.
So other games, Barenpark's been played 3 times.
I played Barenpark a lot.
Right?
That's not just here, generally.
Yeah. Because you're liking it.
Yeah, I do like it. Again, we're going to talk about it on Last Place.
Right, okay.
You played all of Last Place's content.
How about Tom talks about it?
I played it for the first time, last night.
Is it as good as people are saying?
I think it's really good, I was really surprised, because it is quite light. You're putting a tile down that you've got, you're building a bear park that's a grid, and you've got the cottage garden patchwork shape tiles. Polyaminos. And then you're trying to place them, you'll place one, and if you cover up certain things, you'll get other tiles.
Right.
And so that's the whole point of the game. All you're going to be doing is putting a tile down, hopefully getting more tiles.
Okay.
And you're trying to fill up those things.
Family game?
Yeah.
Easily.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Because that's literally the action of the game, is whatever tiles you've got in front of you, put it down, hopefully you'll get some more tiles and not run out.
Right.
But it's just a cycle of that, and it goes round, everybody else does one tile. But it is really just fantastic. I've only played the basic game. I haven't played with.
Oh, there's extra bits.
Yeah, there's achievements that you can play with.
Yeah.
That kind of guide. It gives it a bit of a race. It seems like
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'd be the first to like make 3 rivers in a row, or.
And you picked this up at Expo.
No, I got a review copy sent to me.
Yes.
After Expo, but I really wanted to pick it up at Expo, but they had very few copies.
Very few. Yeah. Is it Mayfair? Is it
Mayfair? Yes.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, no, I just want to add to that. It is very much a simple family game.
Okay.
But it has wide appeal because people who are really into games and like their
well, you wouldn't play
like
it as much as you would
Yeah.
if it was just a family game.
I enjoy it.
Yeah,
I really enjoy the decision making in this game. There's actually so much behind it, behind such a simple mechanism.
Right.
And I really liked it. And I wanted that out of Cottage Garden.
Yeah.
And I just didn't get it. And Cottage Garden is a more gamery game.
Right.
But it doesn't manage to captivate you as much as Barenpark does.
Okay.
Because you have very clear goals in Barenpark, and it's really...
It does feel like you're achieving something as well when you're fitting the puzzle together, and it didn't feel like that in Cottage Garden for whatever reason.
Terra Mystica. Has anybody played Terra Mystica this weekend?
No.
Right, so none of us 3 have played Terra Mystica, but Terra Mystica has been played 4 times. Now, you 2 have not been to a Runemeet before. Runemeet started, I think, it was either 1999 or 2000. So Runemeet's been going on a long time. The year after Terra Mystica came out, we almost renamed it Terra Mystica Meet because it was being played almost constantly, everywhere, and often twice at the same time. It's always been a popular game down here. I'm sure it's still very, very popular everywhere. Probably. But it's nice when, quite often games come out. We've just been talking about Barenpark. Are we going to be talking about it? Are we going to be playing it in a year's time? We don't know at the moment. We might be. Terra Mystica is how many years old now?
5.
And we're still playing it, and it's been played 3 times this weekend, and everybody's loving it.
Yeah.
There are games out there that are coming out every year with longevity, and my games collection has grown and grown and grown and grown and grown, and over the last 10 years, Vicky has said to me constantly, why do you need more games? It is true. We're sat here in my games room, you can't see it, but we're sat here in my games room with my game shelves with, and not all of them are here, some of them are somewhere else. I've probably got about 300, 350. I don't need any more games. I don't play half of these. And there's at least 50 games here that on the BGG scale, I would give a 10 out of 10. I don't, because I don't use the BGG scale to get... But in other words, I would never say no to a game of it. I think they're that good, I would never say no. Well, why do I need any more games? I don't. Why do I buy 10 to 15 new games every year? Because otherwise I wouldn't have Anachrony, which we just played and I thought was fantastic. I wouldn't have Terra Mystica.
Yeah, that's the drive, isn't it? The next Terra Mystica is around the corner.
We are,
if only we play enough games.
And Gloomhaven's down there as well. So if I wasn't, a lot of people who've got big collections who go, oh, why are you still buying games? Because every year something new comes out.
Yeah.
And that new something might be the thing which,
I'm going to say a terrible cliche, but I think this has been a very good year for board games.
Well, we've not even at Essen, and there's a lot of Essen lists started and coming out.
Yeah.
But for those of you that go to Essen, and I'm always a big defender of look, you can have all your lists beforehand, and the lists are great, but there's a few games that come out at Essen each year which nobody's done any marketing or advertising for, and end up being the sleeper hits.
Yeah.
And if you're going to any kind of big event, don't just listen to what you're saying with your top 10. Use that as a guide, but you've also got, Rado does his, loads and loads and loads of people do all of their, here's the top games to look out for, but there's always others.
Yeah,
there's always
some. There might just be that one game that just a particular person, it just strikes a chord with them, and it's on their list and nobody else's.
Yeah, I don't even know where I started. No, the whole point of me saying that was, I think it's really good that we're not all sat here playing Cult of the New.
Yeah,
I'm playing Anachrony, because that for me is Cult of the New, but Terra Mystica having been played 3 times this weekend, it shows that it's a good, solid game that's stood the test of time. So what else have we played? Captain Sonar got played. Now I've not played this yet. Since it came out, people have been trying to convince me to play it. It's not that I don't want to, it's just the opportunity, every time the opportunity has happened, something else has happened. Like last night it got played, and I was doing something else at the time, so I even missed out again. But you played it for the first time yesterday.
Yes.
And
I didn't really like it.
But,
it's a game where we're 2 teams of 4. I assume you can play with a bit less, and we're running submarines, and there's
battleships.
Battleships, yeah, it's basically battleships.
It's battleships.
There's a little map that everybody can see on your side. You've got a big Dungeon Master screen in between the two teams. The captain is deciding where we're going on this map, and then there is the radio operator on the other team who is listening to the other team's captain, and he's got kind of a sheet of acetate over the map.
So you're supposed to listen into the other team.
The other team is,
as if you're sort of picking up on their communications.
And you can play a turn-based variant of it, but the main game is supposed to be real time.
Yeah. I would never play a turn-based.
No, we did the first few turns to kind of get used to it, and then it was straight into real time, because if you miss what the other captain says, there's no, can you repeat that, please? You should have been listening, you're the radio operator. And there's times when your ship has to surface and nobody can do their things for a while, but the other team is still going, and the radio operator has to keep in his head what's happening.
Can I just say that there is a rule that, regardless of whether if you miss, you miss, but there is a rule that says you have to say things clearly when you say them and loudly.
You can't just mumble them into your.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So there's no whispering.
No.
Right, okay, because that's a key part of the game.
So why didn't you
like it?
I was the engineer who, every time the ship moves, has to cross these things off, these symbols on this thing, and it can work out badly, whereas if the captain isn't really listening to you and they go in the wrong direction, you can end up blocking off all of the things the ship is supposed to be able to do and do damage to your ship eventually. But I don't know, we were playing a rule a bit wrong, so I'm not sure if it was down to that, but it did just feel like I was just crossing off symbols and I wasn't really doing much. But Efka has played more.
I have played it a bit more. I think it's very important in Captain Sonar to have the right person playing as the captain of the team and establish who the right person is before you play. Like in any team-based game that requires you to have different skill sets for every player, you need to establish who has the best characteristics, and especially if you need a captain, you have to have a person who's very good at listening, very good at being patient, very good at staying calm, and very good at being decisive. All those things, because it's a real-time game. But you don't need to, you can't get swept away, because you lose control of yourself and you lose control of the ship, right? So one of the most important things that you need to do as captain is to corroborate information with, on the one side, radio operator, because the radio operator lets you know where you need to go, and on the other side, you have the engineer, who basically, depending on which direction you go in, that's what systems get damaged, right? And you need to coordinate information with the engineer to make sure that the systems don't get damaged, right? So if you are not good at multitasking and communicating two ways and condensing that information in real time and staying calm and relaying that to everyone, then maybe
you shouldn't be the captain.
You shouldn't be the captain, which I imagine is most people, right? So you just need to pick the person who's best at it. Really.
Otherwise, it could affect the way that the game actually works and the enjoyment of.
Probably, but that's any team-based game. You know?
True.
If you put the wrong person in the wrong role, it's not going to work. And I think there's something very admirable about figuring out what a good team composition is and making those four people at a table work like a well-oiled machine. You know?
That could have been another point as well. The captains were picked on who wanted to be it, and then everyone else just kind of filled in based on where we were sitting.
So it was your captain's fault, is what you're saying?
Yes, I'm placing all blame on the captain.
I would if I were you.
Tell me later who it was, and I'll put links to his profile in the show notes. So if you're ever playing a game with him. So that's a few of the games we've played. As I say, there is a geek list with all of the games that we've been played. I've lost track of how many people have been here this weekend. It's been quieter than previous ones. I've been trimming the numbers down slightly over the years. But there's been about 20 people here, so there's been 4 games or so going on at all times. And I'll look at the geek list on Monday and go, I didn't know that was being played.
Can I mention one more game?
You can.
I think the best game I played and the one I enjoyed the most was First Class. And I know it's not a very new game, but I just had a tremendous experience of playing it.
And you won.
And I did win.
But we didn't recount. If we'd have recounted, I'd have won.
Sort of.
Yes, but that was another close game.
Yeah,
it was like 130 something, and then I was like 3 points behind or something crazy. Yeah, so one move at the end in that game made all of the difference. I played First Class at a Runemeet. It might have been Winter Runemeet because I do them twice a year, or it might have been Summer Runemeet last year when Richard Klein came over and he'd bought it and he'd just got it, and the English rules weren't out at that point, so it was only available in German. Ever since then, I wanted a copy.
Yeah.
So I decided at Expo, right, I've been wanting this for a while. Nobody else has bought it. I'm gonna buy it. I've played it 3 times in the last 7 days now.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I just like it, and I want to now.
It is so enjoyable, isn't it?
It is.
It's a nice, very simple game. It's not. I mean, okay, it's not like simple like
no.
Carcassonne, but it's a Euro that's very accessible, I think.
Yes.
And all you're doing is taking a card on your turn and adding that card to the pile of cards you already have.
It seems very simple.
And then somehow you manage to cobble a plan out of that, and that plan comes together towards the end of the game. And you might come away the winner, and then you'll be really happy, or you might not, and you'll be like, I haven't had the best plan. But just watching that all coalesce into one
and everybody
thing,
doing it.
Yeah, very enjoyable.
I mean, when I describe the game to people, I say, right, 6 rounds. You score at the end of rounds 2, 4, and 6. Don't worry about your score at the end of round 2, because it might be 1, 3, 5, but it might be. And you're going to end with a score of 100 and something. And then Paul Harris yesterday played a game where, I think at the end of the 2nd scoring round, he had 1 point. And he won with a score of 150 or something ridiculous.
180, I believe.
Yeah, it was because the game escalates on an Expo. But, I love Russian Railroads, but yeah, First Class is very good.
Oh yeah, I would always choose it over Russian Railroads.
I probably would now. Yeah. Although I would still go back to Russian Railroads now and again, just for a different experience. So we'll wrap up the podcast here. As I say, we have played more games that will be on the Geek List. Thank you both for coming to Runemeet.
Paul, you didn't bring any wrapping paper. How do we do this?
What's
that? For wrapping up the podcast.
Oh dear. It's like this.
I'm really sorry.
I'm very happy about all of this.
You're very happy because you're leaving soon, and you're leaving me with Efka. So with him and Paul Harris's puns and singing constantly all weekend. So we're going to wrap up this podcast now. Thank you very much for listening. Thanks to you two for being on the show and for coming this weekend. Do you want to just plug your own stuff?
Nah, it's fine. No, okay. I have a YouTube channel called NoPunInlcuded. If you haven't heard of our channel,
is that you?
That's me.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, and that we do together with my wife Elaine, where we make videos that we think are funny, and also there is a podcast that I do with John Cox from John Gets Games, and it's called Last Place, and John Perkis is the guest on the next episode.
And Elaine was invited this weekend, but unfortunately was working and couldn't make it.
Yes. She was very sad about that.
Yes.
Although she did pack me a secret gift of Kinder chocolate bonds, which are like mini Kinder eggs that I found in my backpack.
And Tom?
I am Slicker Drips on YouTube. Slicker Drips. I do playthroughs of games on YouTube.
And are going to Essen this year.
Yes, I'm going to Essen. See me there.
You're going to Essen. Efka's coming to Gen Con.
Yes, I'll be at Gen Con for the first time.
It's scary to think Gen Con's only
We're spreading across the world.
2 months away. I have so much work to do.
I haven't looked at the list yet. I've seen the list.
Well, Gen Con is a release date for some games, and specifically from American companies, but it's nothing.
No, it's not Essen.
Yeah,
Essen's 800, 900 new games or something like that.
It's very crazy.
It is crazy the amount of new games coming out every year. So yeah, that's where we're going to finish things for now. Thanks very much for listening, and thanks very much to Games Law, who are the sponsors of the show, the UK's largest specialist games retailer, and to Jason Shaw at audionautics.com for the music used in this podcast. Take care, and thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.